So the first thing I'm going to start with is an access control that you can apply to certain pages or branches in your site manager, which will allow you to provide authentication for your users so that they can log in to see certain bits of content that other people cannot. When this is turned on, you can apply it to an entire site, or you can apply it to just a section or a single page on your site. This example here will use Site Manager user accounts. They can be LDAP accounts or they can be local regular Site Manager accounts in order to provide the authentication. But there's no reason why you couldn't extend that to work with your own external authentication systems if you have them. So at publish time, as you're probably quite aware, Site Manager has a header and footer, and then your content gets stitched into the middle of those header and footers. What this access control code, or the access control function in Site Manager, will allow you to do is put almost a second header and a second footer onto your pages. So all the code that's required to provide this authentication is wrapped around the existing header and footer with all your content inside of it. It's very easy to set up. You just need to define the code within Site Manager. That's the more tricky part. Set that on your channel and decide what sections and what users you want to actually be able to use this with. There's very few configurable options for this. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever looked at what we had before, which was some older code, which was a little bit more difficult to configure, but in this scenario it's much, much easier. Essentially, all you need to provide is the location of your Site Manager installation. You need to provide an administrator user and password, which will be used to check what the users are then providing when they attempt to log in. Provide the URLs for a no access and a login page. The login page is fairly self-explanatory. The no access page will be used to show users you don't have access to the page that you're trying to get to. So here are 6 options. In this particular scenario, using the user T4 web services with a password, don't do that. Don't do that either. You need to provide the URL to your web services for Site Manager. This is the same URL that you'd use to log into Site Manager, except you replace the Site Manager part with the word services. Down here, I've defined relative paths to my access control section, which is my intranet section, my login section, and my no access section. So let me quickly show you that in action, and in order to do so I actually do need to do a little bit of reconfiguration, which I unfortunately didn't have time to do this morning. So step 1, find Site Manager. This appears to be it.
No,
that's not it. Is this it?
Yeah.
Success. As you can see, this is well practiced. So I'm going to go to the Tools menu to Access Control, where you'll find my profiles listed. And this is the one I'm interested in, the bottom one, PHP Access Control. The option I need to change is the location for this Site Manager because it's moved since I actually did this originally. So I'm going to take this URL, or at least the start of the URL, and plug that into the relevant location. Save that. Let me show you how that's actually applied on the channel. So Tools and Channels as usual. Modify your existing channel. You go down to the very bottom, you get to select your access control configuration, which is the one I just edited there, and obviously I've turned it on. Go to the particular section, which as I said already is your intranet section. You see I have a little lock symbol on it here, which means that it is access controlled. That's done from this Access tab over here on the far side. And you'll see that I've set anyone who's in this group, the Authenticated Intranet Users group, should be able to log into that main page. If I show you a subsection, so customers, we actually allow different level of access. So you must be in the customers group. Similarly for directors, slightly different access, you must be in the directors group. So when that's all published out, and here's where I'm going to have fun again. Cheat. When that's all published out, and you try and go to that section, you're going to be asked to log in. So one of my accounts, which I created earlier, should hopefully allow me to log into that section. I'm guessing the fact that it's taking a very long time means it's working. It's usually what it means, isn't it? You know what? It's not working. Do you know why it's not working? Because I never published. So I made a change to my access control profile and forgot the important step. Let me send that out. So just to show you, which I guess is a good enough example, up here in the URL I got web services error, which was true. The error code 0, but in the documentation for this you'll see that means I could not find site manager, which makes sense. So let's try that again. Can everyone cross their fingers for me? Great. Right, so now I'm logged in. Over here on the left-hand menu, I see customers, but I don't see directors. The reason I don't see directors is I'm not in the directors group. So I'm in the authenticated intranet users group, meaning I can log in. I'm in the customers group, so I see this customers section, but I don't see directors. So what happens if I try to just go to that? Well, that's where the no access page comes in. You're not allowed to see it, so you don't. So if I wanted to add myself to that group, I would then be able to actually access that section. Thankfully this time I don't need to publish, all I need to do is log out and log back in. Hopefully I have access to the directories section. So that's essentially it. Does anyone have any questions or comments on that?